Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is The Advocate, and today I'm an advocate for House of the Dragon Season 2, a complete season review. Guys, I don't have a script for this. I'm completely winging it, so I'm so sorry if this video does not come together as well as I would like, but I just wanted to give my quick thoughts with regards to the second season of House of the Dragon. All in all, I thought it was a pretty decent season with some occasionally great moments there, particularly within the first half of the season. I will say that House of the Dragon Season 2 is definitely a tale of two seasons. Looking at this season as a whole, if you had asked me what my opinions were on this season of the TV show adaptation of Fire and Blood after the fourth episode, I would have said, this is pretty great. This is some fantastic stuff, a very well-paced season with some fantastic production, very emotionally inducing performances, great cinematography, just all sorts of greatness there. I would have said it was like a 9 out of 10 season. Now, having seen the complete season and the episodes that take place in the latter half here, I think I'm a lot less positive. No, I don't think, I know I'm a lot less positive on this season as a whole. And I would say that season 1 was probably a much stronger season than season 2. Now, I am someone who did read the Fire and Blood book. Link in the description down below to check out my review of the Fire and Blood book. So I inevitably have a comparison point to compare the TV show adaptation with. So inevitably, there's going to be things here that when I'm watching, I'm like, that didn't happen like that in the book. And I will then question that the decision-making that went into creating this scene that either adds to or more often than not subtracts from the source material. And that will unintentionally or maybe even intentionally so just kind of muddle my my desire to rewatch that episode. It definitely kind of leaves me a little less like, that wasn't that, a little more like that wasn't that great. So there was definitely a lot of that this season, but removing my desire to want to have the TV show adaptation follow the source material as close as possible, do I think this season is a good season based on the merits of the show itself without necessarily adapting the book? I think for the most part, yes. I think it is overall a pretty good season of TV. With that said, there are some legitimate issues here with regards to both the structure of the pacing and how much filler there is here in this season, and also some of the narrative decisions that Ryan Condal and his writing team make throughout this season of the TV show. The pacing, I think, again, for the first 4 episodes, I thought was pretty fantastic. I thought there was a lot of stuff here that was like, okay, we're really just kind of blowing through these plot points that not only occur in Fire and Blood, but are, that are occurring within the context of the TV show separated from the book. Like, there's a lot going on here that makes sense. We're pacing it pretty well. There's a lot of great acting, a lot of great cinematography. All in all, it was just, boom, boom, boom. We were really hitting these show, not just these book specific plot points, but these also show plot points here at a rapid pace. It was all very well executed, and I thought, we were off to the races here with a season that would potentially have been better than the first season. However, once we reach that episode 5, there's just a lot of stuff here within the TV show that doesn't really contribute much to the overall narrative. We have scenes of, Allison's going for a swim, Raina just at the Vale, and then, having her little goose chase with the sheep stealer, whom, by the way, she does not even claim by the end of the season, whom she still hasn't officially ridden yet. Just all these scenes. Daemon at Harrenhal, which I liked for the most part. I thought, Daemon had a really good character arc, but there were just way too many visions there that I think we could have removed some of those and nothing really of substance would have been lost from the overall narrative of the story. There's just a lot of scenes here that don't really contribute much to the story. There's a lot. It felt like the writers were intentionally trying to pad out the runtime to fill out that 8 episode count, and I think it would have been much better had we maybe just removed a lot of that fluff, particularly starting from episode 5, and just concentrated those 4 episodes worth of events into maybe like 2 to 3 episodes, because honestly, I do believe you could fit the events that take place within those last 4 episodes into 2 to 3 episodes. But I don't want to blame the writers totally on this one because I know that there was a lot of things here that were outside of the writers' control. As has been popularly discussed, House of the Dragon Season 2 was 8 episodes as opposed to the 10 episodes that took place in the first season, and a lot of that was not up to Ryan Condal and his writing team. A lot of that had to do with Warner Brothers and David Zaslav. During the Warner Brothers / Discovery merger, there were a lot of budget cuts going around Warner Brothers, and that included HBO as well. So the decision was made by HBO to cut the originally intended episode order of House of the Dragon from 10 episodes down to 8 episodes. And if what I read online is correct, and correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below, the writing team had originally written out 10 individual episode scripts that would span the entire season. However, the decision then came pretty late in the writing process that, oh no, it's only going to be 8 episodes long. So the writers then had to scramble. And then pretty soon after that, the writer strike hit back in 2023, and everything was just kind of in turmoil. So I don't want to fault the writers too much because it wasn't probably their initial plan to have 8 episodes worth of stuff. So I'm sure there was a lot of scenes that kind of got lost in the mix, a lot of stuff that had to be pushed back to season 3 because of the Warner Brothers / HBO order to reduce the episode count to 8 episodes. So because of that, there was just a lot of chaos in the writer's room. And so I don't want to fault them too much here, but I still do think that when it came after the end of the writer's strike and the writers kind of returned back to the TV show, I think there should have been more just kind of a desire to clean up those scripts and more of an effort taken into revising and seeing what could be cut and what could be extended. I mean, even if the writers weren't able to include the, I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's a battle that's coming up pretty soon. If the writers were unable to have that battle take place within this season due to budgetary constraints, I think the writers should have then really taken a kind of a closer look at what they had written and maybe, I don't know, dedicated more time to seeing what Otto was up to maybe seeing what was going on down in the Reach. We have Allison's 3rd Targaryen child down there in the Reach. Maybe it would have been a good time to maybe write some scenes surrounding that particular character, because if you've read Fire and Blood, you know he's got quite a few interesting things coming up and has a few interesting things that occurred during the timeline that season 2 takes place. There's a lot of other stuff here that I don't want to spoil that the writers could have really delved into that they chose not to, that I think would have done a much better job of stretching out the season as opposed to what they eventually turned to for spreading out the season to encompass the 8 episodes that we eventually saw on TV. But so that was a bummer. It was just a lot of filler here in the latter half. And then my second biggest complaint for this season was some of the narrative decisions that Ryan Condal and his team made here, particularly within these last 2 episodes, episodes 7 and 8. There's just a lot of stuff here that either contradicts the lore that George R.R. Martin created for the A Song of Ice and Fire series, or some decisions that just contradict the show's own canon established as well. If you watch the second season, even though I know not every fan who watched the show was super into Daemon's story at Harrenhal, we are all aware that Daemon is going on this character journey. He's going on this, not so much a redemption arc, but he is turning a new leaf for his character. And with each passing episode, you see him kind of slowly start to kind of chip away at the person he once was, thanks to the visions that are being forced on him by Alice Rivers. And it's kind of starting to come into his own and realize that, do I actually want the crown? Like, is it something that I truly want? And, it's such a beautiful character arc. And finally, you think that it eventually gets to the destination that we all imagine it's going to, which is that Daemon bends the knee to his wife, Rhaenyra, and he fully supports her right to the Iron Throne. However, the way in which, the catalyst in which he finally comes to that conclusion is through this vision in the Heart Tree at Harrenhal, where he sees Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne. He sees, all this other stuff that connects House of the Dragon to Game of Thrones Season 8, which is dumb, as I think House of the Dragon should stand on its own without the need for fan service, but that's a complaint for another time. It is because of this vision that Daemon comes to this conclusion that, oh, okay, I guess I need to support Rhaenyra because this vision told me that she's going to wind up on the Iron Throne anyway, so I can't fight fate. Might as well support her now. And it just, diminishes his character arc so much. I feel like it would have been so much better for Daemon as a character if he had just come to that conclusion on his own and he didn't need the assistance of the old gods in order to get him to that desired character destination. He would come to that conclusion on his own, and it would have felt all the more powerful. As is, I think it really does ruin his character arc, in my opinion. A lot of the scenes with Allison and Rhaenyra, I felt like the show was really, really, really trying to force this dynamic that didn't need to be forced. Not every episode needed to be dedicated to Allison versus Rhaenyra. I think these two characters I think the writers could have honestly had these two characters take a step back from the war, because I mean, that's essentially what they were doing for most episodes here in the TV show. Rhaenyra doesn't really do much until episode 7 of the TV show. And Allison, gosh, I don't even know what Allison, she has this just very confusing journey where she contemplates life because she gets kicked out of the council by Aemon Targaryen. She starts wallowing because nobody on the Green Council wants her and she feels unwanted. Whereas in the first episode, she had her grandson killed. I would think that would be her primary motivation for wanting to end whatever war was about to begin. Not, oh, poor is me. Oh, nobody on the council loves me. Oh, geez. Like it goes against the writing established for her character. And I don't know. It was not a very well thought out moment of writing from the writing team here. Those forced scenes with Allison and Rhaenyra, which took me out of both the episode 3 finale and also both of the episode 8 finale, not only because they don't happen in the book, but also because, let's be real, guys, how did Rhaenyra not get caught in King's Landing when she went to see Alicent? And likewise, when Alicent was in Dragonstone, I mean, even though there's less security on Dragonstone, how did Alicent not get caught? And if we're going by obviously, I'm trying to separate the context of the book from the show, but if this were to have happened in the book, Rhaenyra would have had Alicent killed right then and there. She would have burned her to death and been like, what are you doing here? Yeah, you're dead. But even within the context of the show, separate from that of the book, Rhaenyra is now kind of coming into her own as someone who wants this war because she knows that war is inevitable now that she needs to be the queen that her father Viserys wanted her to be. She needs to sit the Iron Throne. In order to do that, she has to start this war. And then Alicent comes back kind of in a role reversal of what happened in episode 3, where Rhaenyra asked Alicent to stop the war. Now Alicent wants to ask Rhaenyra to stop this war, but Rhaenyra is now on this new character trajectory. The Rhaenyra that is now on this new character trajectory, within the context of the show, would have burned Alicent right then and there. She would have killed her right then and there. It makes no sense that didn't happen. And on top of just it being a little bit of illogical that neither person got caught in each other's home base, but whatever. I guess the writers just really wanted to shoehorn in that Alicent and Rhaenyra dynamic, and I think for the future of the TV show, the writers will continue to kind of push that Alicent versus Rhaenyra character versus character theme within the show. And I don't know, I'm just not a super big fan of it. I don't think it needs to be shoehorned into the show, but it's whatever. So those narrative decisions, in addition to some of the pacing issues, I think bring this season down as a whole. And I would say that season 2, again, to reiterate, is a weaker season than season 1. If you take into account the Fire and Blood book, you probably will like it even less, because then you're thinking about like, wow, like they really deviated far from the source material here and just came up with something that just doesn't quite reach the mark that the book did. Not to say that the book is perfect. The book has a lot of problems too, but there's just a lot of missed potential here that the show didn't live up to if you're a book reader. And even if you're just a show watcher by itself, there's just a lot of scenes here that don't really feel necessary within the overall context of the show. But those are just my thoughts on House of the Dragon Season 2, guys. Again, all in all, I thought, barring those negatives, there were some moments of greatness here. There's some fantastic acting going on through the show. Episode 2 is my MVP for the best episode of the season. That scene where Aegon Targaryen removes Otto Hightower from his position as Hand of the King and then has Criston Cole be his new steel fist Hand of the King. I thought that was the best acted moment of the entire series, the best acted moment that I've seen in TV for a long, long time. Just some Otto Hightower's actor. Oh my gosh, He was only in the show for the first 2 episodes, and then they're in prison there for the season finale. But for whatever little time he spent in the show, he was absolutely fantastic. It's just beautiful acting, some of the best acting I've ever seen on TV. The cinematography, again, just continues to be top notch. Just beautiful special effects. Whoever animated these dragons just deserves all the raises, all the round of applause in the world, just all the good things. So a pretty good season with some great moments and then some questionable decisions here and there. So yeah, those are my thoughts on House of the Dragon Season 2. Stay tuned for future book review videos from The Advocate, future videos in general. And thanks for watching this video, guys. Until next time, The Advocate, out.